What do you do to pitch once if they have the insurance estimate in them? Because this is after season. Most
Sure.
everybody has an insurance estimate already there,
Yeah.
and most everybody in Texas wants a bid.
Mm-hmm. So
Um,
you should have access to the advanced sales training program. When you log in,
yeah.
are you also able to access that program, or do I need to edit your membership?
I'm logging in under Billy's, so
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll make you here. I need to make a note to do that actually.
you
Advanced.
may have, but I don't know. My computer automatically, because of the first day, it put me under Billy.
Okay. Then I'll create you an account so that you can actually log in on your own. Because otherwise, if you guys start to share, like if he's trying to log in and you are also, it's going to boot you guys off. All right. So what I'll do is I have a lesson I have several videos actually, and I have a script for presenting to customers who already have paperwork. Because when
Okay.
people already have their paperwork, they feel like they don't want to show you their cards, right? Like they feel
No.
like they have an upper hand. Like, well, if you know, they somehow think like if you know how much they're getting paid, you're going to alter the price. You're going to take advantage of them somehow. And so, in a nutshell, here, just so that you can generally understand what this approach is going to be, of course, you can sit on your own time and just listen to the videos in like later today or something. But essentially, what you want to do is when you go up and someone's got paperwork, you're like, okay, so you have your paperwork already? Great. Don't even show it to me. Here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out, do a basic inspection, and I'm just going to notate everything that I find. And I'll come down and we'll sit down and I'll kind of go over what I have here as far as what the scope looks like to me. Okay. So I go up and I literally take my notebook and pen and I just write like 3 pipe jacks, remove and replace 3 tab shingle, remove and replace ice and water shield, remove and replace, like all those things. I put all those items, but I'll also put items that I know aren't going to be on the estimate. Ridge and starter, overhead and profit, any of those types of things that you know they're not going
Okay.
to put on there, or dumpster, right? So then I go and I sit down with the homeowner and I go, all right, so basically I have a list here of essentially what it is all the items in kind of an itemized way, what would need to go on in your project based on what I saw from assessing the damages that you have. Okay, obviously your roof, I see that your gutters are damaged. That's going to include the downspouts, yada, 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 yada. I go, so first things first is I'm actually going to fill you in on kind of how insurance pays now because they do things a little bit differently than they used to. And a lot of people are still in like bid collecting mode. Like they want me to write them a bid, which I can technically write people bids, but the thing is, insurance companies don't take bids anymore. They write their own estimates. So, Mrs. Jones, here's how it works. And I go into how insurance companies used to pay versus how they pay now. And I write this
Yeah.
down on a chart, okay? So, in a nutshell here, I say, Mrs. Jones, what they used to do was they'd come out and go, yeah, you have damage. Okay, great. Go ahead and gather 3 bids and send them to us. Which one do you think they'd pick when you sent them in 3 bids? The
Right.
lowest one. Right. So they'd pick the lowest one, which was great for the insurance company because they were saving money all day long. But eventually, homeowners were kind of getting pissed off because they're basically having to use bottom of the barrel contractors and everyone was competing to get the lowest price. And the way they were getting those lowest prices were using cheap materials, reusing existing materials, dumping their debris in a creek, not carrying the proper insurance, not having workman's comp, all these things. And so it just kind of became very messy. Like the industry as a whole got really shady. It wasn't good. And the other part was if they came out and said, all right, well, yeah, you have damage. And you got a bid for $10,000. Here's a check for, if you have $1,000 deductible, that means your insurance company owes you $9,000 because 9,000 plus 1,000 is the $10,000 to cover the job. That's how it works. They used to write one check for 10,000 or 9,000 and say, here you go, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, go fix your roof. Unfortunately, what do you think some people do with a check for $9,000, Mrs. Jones? Vegas, right? Or like put in a hot tub, get a new car, whatever, right? Anything but doing the roof. Or they would do the roof, but they'd find like Uncle Joe who comes over and goes, oh, I could do that for $7,000. Then they wouldn't pay their deductible and they'd pocket the extra money. Unfortunately, this is insurance fraud. And so insurance companies had to find a way to stop that from happening. Not that they don't make enough money, but they had to create a safeguard. So now what they do is 2 things. Let's say that they come out and they say, yes, you have damage. they actually write the estimate. Okay, so they're using something called Xactimate. It's the same pricing software we use. It's exactly the same. Line by line, what items cost for removal, replace, etc., taxes, the whole bit. And what they do is the adjuster writes the estimate. We're kind of at the mercy of playing ball with the insurance company now because our retail prices are considerably higher, and I would dare to say anywhere from 30 to 50% more at a minimum than what insurance actually pays. Because insurance is right in the middle. There's contractors that charge an arm and a leg. There's contractors that charge pennies on the dollar, but they like operate out of a van down by the river. And then there's everybody in between. Xactimate falls right in between, okay? So what they do now is they come out and they go, yes, you have damage. Same $10,000, same $1,000 deductible. We're still willing to pay $9,000. However, they're going to split it into 2 checks. They withhold depreciation. So check number 1, which is probably what you have right now, is called the ACV. And that's going to be a portion of it. Let's just say $6,000 for this example, okay? They're going to hold on to $3,000 as depreciation. Okay, so what we're basically saying is, so they.
And I've watched. I think I've seen your pitch.
Okay, great.
On the video.
Okay, so you know that.
I've watched just about every video I think you put out there.
Perfect.
So far, so no, when you first started out, that's brilliant. The line items that won't be on there.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Right.
Kind of kicking myself in the butt for never thinking of that one.
Well, because you're
I'll usually start asking them measurements of line items and frustrate them.
Right.
So they just end up throwing it over at me.
Well, you don't want them to be frustrated because then it creates kind of a negative experience. But what you're doing when you're doing this is you're basically demonstrating to them your knowledge that they don't have. But you're not saying, you silly Mrs. Jones, you think you could do this on your own. You're saying, here's what's going on and here's how this works. So you're really educating them. And most roofers are not doing that with your customers, okay? They're coming over and they are giving a bid, or they're basically being a little bit combative and saying, Mrs. Jones, this isn't how it works. We don't do bids. Like, I couldn't give you, it's a waste of my time, which is really still what you're saying, but you're not saying it to them. You're saying, here's how it works. And they're connecting the dots on their own. So at the end, when I go through the how insurance companies used to pay versus how they pay now, at the end I say, so Mrs. Jones, you have your paperwork, right? Don't even show it to me. You don't even have to show me your cards. Here's what I like you to do though. Grab it and you can just hold it up like this to yourself if you want. But what we're going to go over here are the items, because the insurance company is not a contractor, okay? They do their best and usually they're pretty accurate with estimates, but there's always stuff they leave off 99% of the time. But I also want to show you that we're using the same pricing, okay? So then you, out of your binder, take another claim that you have that you've created on your Xactimate software and has line-by-line items, and you go, so first and foremost, remove and replace 3 tab. You have that? Yep. What is it, $53.22 or whatever, $28, whatever it is, and they're like, yeah. And you're like, see that, Mrs. Jones? Same price, right? What about this? Remove and replace 3 pipe jacks. Yep, I got that. Okay, cool. And that says what? $16.14 each? Yeah. Same price, right? Yeah. So then you're basically going through here, and then you get to show items that aren't on there. What you get to say is, Mrs. Jones, we're using the same price list. So the problem is when people ask me for a bid, I could write them a bid, and it's going to be in the same pricing software. But if the insurance company didn't pay you what you're owed, or they forgot certain items or code upgrades or OSHA items or things like that they just didn't know to add, or they forgot to, or it was a mistake, you might get an estimate that's $3,000 more than what you're getting paid, and you might think the roofer's ripping you off, but they're not. They're writing, like when I put together this estimate, this is correct, right? I'm the contractor here. No offense to the insurance company, they do a good job. But if the price is different, we have to know why. What did the insurance company miss? So that's why you don't have to be nervous about showing me your paperwork, Mrs. Jones, because our prices should be exactly the same. And if they're not, it's my responsibility then to go back and work with your insurance company to say, hey, this is close, but we missed A, B, C, and D. We need this because X, Y, Z. And Mrs. Jones, I'm happy to do that negotiating for you. But you have to understand, like, this takes me a lot of time, energy. I have to drive back and forth. I have to do the measurements, take the pictures, put together the estimate, put together the pictures, and then send it over, wait for them to respond, call them back, deal with them on the phone, email them back, send them faxes. And I'm happy to do all that, but my time is not free, you know, and I'm not going to charge you any service fee for that. But all I do ask is, if I can get all this approved for you and we can do the roof for the price that they allow, just let me do the roof. Does that sound fair? So at that point, that's where you get the contingency out of that situation, right? So that's pretty much how it works, and it works really well. I've had great success using that approach. Just,
It's a good one.
you know, you're
It's a great
just
one.
showing them little things, and then at the end they're like, okay, and they feel comfortable about it because they understand. They're not frustrated about it. They see what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So that's something there, and you can just play the videos for those guys. I mean, if that's something that you guys are running into a lot, teach them the basic sales presentation first and foremost. Make sure they've mastered that, okay?